Hello there. This is a sort of Rob Rants, and it's, it's another one of those big opinion type videos as well. And yet it's not kind of a rant too. It's just sort of highlighting something here to do with language and curriculum and the sort of things we get in school, and whether that's correct, really, whether that's ethical, that it should be forced upon everybody as part of the curriculum, or should it just be optional? Now, what do you think? Do you think multiple languages are good for us? Now, my opinion is this. I don't think we need to be filling our heads with lots of different ways of speaking. Okay, maybe just a few, yeah? Maybe 2 or 3 at absolute most. A couple. But, of course, the main language that is spoken by the world at the moment is English. It's kind of the global language right now, isn't it? And a lot of the other countries obviously learn it as their secondary language, or in some cases their primary language. I'm not quite sure what America did, because they learned it as their primary language, yet they learned a secondary version of it. Why did it alter anyway? Do any of you out there know why the American English is so vastly changed to the Great British English? Because at the time when America were going to decide languages, it was I think it was close between German and English, and English won the vote in the end. So if they wanted to speak English, why aren't they speaking, true English, the British English? It's a strange thing, isn't it? Yeah, just curious, basically, how that occurred. So if any of you Americans out there know the reason why, that would be interesting. Anyway, back onto the point of language in of itself. I mean, the English language at the moment is sort of top of the tree, but language is a very transitional thing, and nothing's ever fixed. And it's the same with words and the kind of uses of words and the kind of language within a language, the kind of voice within a language that is used, and the way new words are created within a language. And I mean, with all these new words that come along, like, I don't know, chav and YOLO. People can now go around and say lol when something's funny. You could say it out loud, That's very ironic. I like that. And I mean, the number one language in the past was, I guess, Latin, right? That was the global language. That was the one that, you'd learn Latin, wouldn't you? And whatever else, your language. So, Latin was the biggie. Now it's English. What do you think it will change to? It's probably going to change. English is a very, very difficult language to learn anyway. I mean, it doesn't follow any set rules. It doesn't make any sense, because it's got a lot of borrowed words that completely break any semblance of rules in the way it can work and make sense. My opinion is that the next biggie coming up, it would be easier to say, oh, it's going to be Chinese, and it could well be possible, because they're obviously rising as a superpower. At this rate, they're going to be bigger than America extremely soon, aren't they? As an economic power, they're extremely powerful right now, China. But I wouldn't rule out Spanish. That's my feeling. It feels to me like Spanish is on the rise. And also you've got, I mean, you see things on TV like Dora the Explorer, where they're actively trying to almost prep you for the change, where they're trying to teach you Spanish. Isn't that curious, children? It feels like it's all like part of a grand plan. I don't want to get conspiracy theorist here, but is everything always planned? Anyway, now onto the rant bit. When I was at school and they were trying to, force language down our throats, and you had to do French or German, and you had to start with one and then go on to the other. So you start with French and then do German, or the other way around, whatever, blah blah blah. So you had to do both. Okay, so my argument in reply to that is, why French and German? Is it because your limited resources you have to pick some to specialise in so that you can all copy? I don't know. What about, what if I have plans to go to Sweden? What if I want to learn, what is it called, Svenska? Or, yeah, anyway. What if I want to go down that route? Is it kind of a bit like German? And why French? Other than if I'm going to cross the channel or hang around in Canada at some point, which I might do, but we'll see. But I mean, I would have loved them to have offered something like Japanese. That would have been great. And it's a syllabary language. It's easy. It's got rules that you can stick by. And even when they do borrowed language, they turn that borrowed language into pure syllabary rulings. So everything is spelt how it sounds, and you can rely on it. So it's a nice, easy language in that respect. Maybe a little bit too easy. That's my other problem with Japanese. Not enough expression words, perhaps, to really play with the language like you can with English. Very often you just hear like these one-word summaries in Japanese that summarize what the English language would have made a whole sentence to say. An Englishman might say something like, well, they are rather noisy next door, aren't they? Or like complaining to the neighbour over the wall like that. Whereas, the Japanese may say something along the lines of, "Urusai!" Maybe I've just been watching too much anime. But that appears to be the trend. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So, we're having language forced on us as part of a curriculum. Now, I'm not keen on that. Now, maybe I'm out of order here saying this, but I don't completely mean it. I'm saying it with tongue-in-cheek as well, alright? And I'm more just pointing it out as a curiosity. That, alright, you want to teach us French, that's all well and good, but have you ever heard of that chap called Napoleon? And if we hadn't stopped him, and killed lots of the French and had lots of ourselves die, then we could well have been all speaking French right now. So we actually made huge efforts to not have to be speaking French right now. So now then you're trying to cram it down our throats anyway. And then of course the Spanish Armadas came to our fair isles, very fair, and I suppose they got delayed at the Isle of Wight. They all stopped for ice cream and went on the rides. Who can blame them? The beaches and stuff. It's really nice, isn't it? And there was lots of death on both sides, tragic, terrible loss, just so that we didn't have to speak Spanish, like obviously Mexico. Then we have obviously World War II. We could have all ended up speaking German, but of course, massive, heck, even World War I. So many different confrontations where we've gone to great lengths to not have to speak those languages in particular that they are specifically targeting at us. And you could say, yes, but we went to war with the Japanese. If we want to get into the pedantry of this issue, then technically it wasn't really us at war with them, because it was America, political naval maneuvers that brought about the war because of China, and it was because it was Pearl Harbor, and Pearl Harbor's not in Britain now, is it? And so it's, you know what I mean? So, but it wasn't an invasion of our land, was it? And that's the whole point. I mean, had Nazi Germany been destroyed, but them not dropped the bombs on Japan and them just like giving them what they want, the trade routes back open so China doesn't have the one up over them, then so that Japan could claim victory or whatever, they wouldn't have suddenly come across and said, now you all have to speak Japanese. It was, you know, they weren't trying to conquer anything. They were just, they felt their honour was besmirched, and that's why they got involved. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems a bit silly somehow to me, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So don't you think you should be able to choose language as like an extracurricular thing, have access to it, sort of, I don't know, out of school hours? Or maybe there should be some put aside extracurricular study that you could do, say, for an hour or 2 hours a week, and it could be on any chosen subject, and you could do it on the computer at school, but in a kind of, in the same way that OU might do it, for example, Open University. So you know, it's a remote driven thing, and you know, you go along and you do that, and you study in a specific field. So it, you know, it could be a language, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be some advanced practices that, you know, a specific field. So for example, you might have a keen interest in history like me, but not really a keen interest in all of history. So you could go to your standard history lessons, but then for, say, I don't know, a couple of lessons a week as well, you might have an additional thing where you could study specifically military history and get, you know, really concise, accurate information on that specialist subject. And, you know, it then allows you to play with different specialist areas without sort of conflicting with your normal history curriculum too. It's only an additive, and if that happens to be language, then all's the better for you, obviously, you know. And if you like languages, then you should be able to do that too. But I think it's very limiting and pointless to go on in the system we have, especially as the fact that now in schools and all sort of educational facilities, everything now is electronic, isn't it? Everyone's got iPad tablets and laptops, and everyone's working electronically. There's hardly any handwriting going on, is there, anymore? And all essays are typed, and so forth. So because of that sort of electronic interface, it's practically screaming for some sort of like a specialist revolutionary type of lessons to be employed. So, hear me now, let's bring in specific things that students can choose to learn to make learning fun for them, and you know, maybe make things have a bit more point to them. Well, that's me, rant out.